All right, here is last video for the day. I've actually got to get going and do some other stuff today. But anyway, here is the political primaries for the Democratic Party ramping up. You see Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Kristen Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Tulsi Gabbard, John Delaney, Amy. I don't even know her name. Anyway, they're measuring them on from liberal, further back and forth, how liberal they are versus how moderate they are. This would be the moderate side, this would be the liberal side, and they were giving people a range across there. Now, if you back it up just a second, they have Kerry, Obama, Clinton, all in this range. What is that, 66 and 63? So you see the moderates over here. These would be more moderates, these would be more liberal. And I don't know that liberal is the right word. A lot of these are more socialist orientated these days. We're kind of losing the word liberal is being taken away. But you see the big split here from Tulsi to Booker and the rest over here. There's a big jump. They're more conservative than Obama, much more than Clinton was. And these guys here are much more to the further left side. You see them here. Now, in this, I want to kind of notice one thing. These are the conservative people here, and this is from the 14th of this month, so just a week ago, 5 days ago. And you start to see this. Now, here are the current stuff, CNN Politico. This is on the same day. Well, you're going to start to notice something, the CNN Political, CNN Politics. Kamala, Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kristen Gillibrand, Juliano Castro, Amy Klobuchar, I can't say that, and Bernie. These are the people they're pushing out right now as the front runners. What you're seeing, of course, is everybody throws their hand into the pot trying to make something happen, and I've actually done a thing on Kamala, on Elizabeth Warren, on Cory Booker, and pretty much I would think Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders have actually already been pushed out there to death. Because people do know them. And Bernie, of course, should have been the nominee, or I believe would have been the nominee had the Clinton campaign not conspired to basically take him out. Yeah, you're going to see it here again. You'll read these names. Senator Warren, Bernie Sanders, Beto O'Rourke, Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. You see all these names. You see the pictures. Again, they go through here and they talk about all these people. Who is, strangely enough, missing? A lot of these two. Tulsi, who is probably my favorite, she's the only person to come out that is actually against U.S. interventionism. If you watch the video I did on national emergencies, you'll notice that most of our national emergencies are, in effect, regime changes in other countries. All of these people support that idea. And you kind of see how Tulsi's being pushed out of the overall media. If you do primary search, you see all these things. Charleston Post, let's see if she pops up in here. You start going through, 60% of the people. Oh, no, I'm not going to subscribe for a one-time story. The Kingmaker, all these stories. No, it's just talking about the CNN primary. Of course, there's Bernie. You got to go to church with people. So yeah, they're not giving a lot of anything. It's just a very short, quick story about the running. Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Democrats carry her up, Joe Biden. When you go to the major news story sites, you see these three, intense competition, these three. And then here's the only story I could find in the last couple of days of Tulsi Gabbard, Hawaiian Congresswoman. Now, she is what I would assume would be one of the intersectional lotteries. She is a woman. She is Hindu. So it's a minority U.S. religion. She's, I believe, Indian. And a veteran. So she tags so many different groups. However, this is the entire length of the article. That's it. 4, maybe 5 sentences where she's going to be. Here's some stuff. That's it. Here is an article from a few days from the end of last month where it talks about her campaign being in disarray. The only thing it actually has is campaign manager and Gebhardt's consulting firm, Revolution Messaging, are set to depart after the week's official kickoff in Hawaii. 2 sources with the situation told Political. Gebhardt is leaning on her sister, I can't say that name, to fill the void. Meanwhile, the congresswoman is under fire back home after picking a fight with Senator Maze Hirono, Democrat from Hawaii, a prominent Democratic state lawmaker who's already challenging Gebhardt in next year's congressional primary. Now, that's kind of interesting. So that's the problem. That's her campaign in disarray. That's it. She went on to Morning Joe and said she was anti-war, in which the people on Morning Joe didn't understand that we actually got engaged in the Syrian conflict to fight ISIS, not to overthrow the government. And if you do a lot of research on that, you'll see that the U.S. was funding rebel groups in Syria to try and overthrow the government, and that's part of that funding is what led to ISIS. It's a unique take of her saying, hey, I don't want to be part of the wars, but if you go and read this, there's really nothing there. It just talks about how she was working with the Bernie Sanders insurgent bid in 2016 and how they basically fell apart after the I don't know what you would call it, the Clinton conspiracy to oust Bernie. Here is another Vox ad or information. It is extremely short. That's it. Gebhardt initially excited the left because she was an outspoken economic progressive and a veteran who objected to American intervention abroad. And most of the interviews I've seen with her is strictly that. She doesn't want to send American troops abroad, and apparently that's a bad thing. She's the first Hindu member of Congress. She's also been serving in one way or another in elections for, I believe, 2001. I was found that she served in Hawaii as the youngest state congressperson ever, and I was reading about that, and she's very interesting as a character. WikiLeaks spurred necessary change. Now, this is the interview on the page.
Saying, you know what, we have to do something different.
They don't
telling about how your campaign will move forward. In other
talk about her at
so
all.
I think it's important for
the video has nothing to do with her. They just talk about why you should be especially potent in South Carolina. This whole article is basically about WikiLeaks, and that's it. Hawaiian Democrat appeared to be referring to the bombshell emails dumped by WikiLeaks in 2016, which rocked several high-profile Democrats in the establishment Gebhardt herself was rebelling against. So the WikiLeaks she's talking about spurred necessary change in the Democratic Party was actually the WikiLeaks that showed Hillary Clinton was clearly trying to steal the campaign from Bernie. And now you see radio silence from major networks on her, from almost all reporting. That's it. There's nothing out there. It is clearly defined that these will be the Democratic people, all of which are chosen for you by them. I'll be interested to see how the Democratic machine moves through. Hope, like all of you watch these debates so that we can kind of get to learn the politics and personalities of these people who want to challenge Donald Trump. And I found this really interesting too. I'm going to leave it here. Democrats have long been trade skeptical for a long time. Manufacturing jobs have dropped precipitously in the U.S. over the past 50 years. Thousands of American workers were left unemployed when massive GM plant in Lordstown, Ohio closed, and the company has been increasing production in Mexico, and while the textile industry of North Carolina moved to cheap labor markets in Brazil, China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, labor unions decimated by the macroeconomic trend make up an important piece of the Democratic Party coalition. So, this is on Vox. Trade skeptics point to multinational companies moving U.S. jobs overseas as one of the material consequences of U.S. trade agreements, and an argument Trump adopted during the general election of the White House. Progressives believe free trade has done more to line corporate pockets than protect workers or the climate. Now, Trump is issuing tariffs, redoing trade deals, and it seems like part of the Democratic policy moving into the next election cycle will be to follow in this Trump form, which is very strange to me. They actively go after Trump on everything. However, if they're going to go after free trade and push back to American workers, that's kind of what's going on now. You see that and the deal with NAFTA, him vetoing TPP, which here it is, TPP equals a betrayal. Trump vetoed that. I really don't understand a lot of the anger towards Trump. A lot of the stuff you see is all second, third-hand comments, and sometimes he just does say stupid things, but a lot of the stuff he's doing are essentially American pushes by Trump. Some Democrats genuinely thought you could balance trade with populism, and it hasn't worked out. So, what are you going to do? Globalism, first and foremost, a belief that permeated his administration and it worked on TPP. This is talking about Obama. Trade agreements are how you shape globalization to reflect our interests and our values. Mike Freeman, who was Obama's U.S. trade representative, told Vox. Since you don't get a chance to vote on technology or even globalization, trade agreements have become the scapegoat for other quite legitimate concerns about jobs and wages. So, globalization or nationalism, I believe, should be do you believe that your people, your workers are the benefit, or do you believe it's global companies? It's kind of up in the air. And truly, they're positioning themselves kind of, what I'm seeing right now is what you read from some of these articles, is they're moving towards the, maybe not the protectionism, but they're trying not to say it. But they're saying put American workers first. And I don't know how well this will go, because a lot of the stuff you see out of the current administration is, putting Americans first, removing illegals, get the undocumented people out of the country so that Americans can have those jobs, which will cause wages to go up, which will cause income to rise, renegotiate trade deals. It all seems to be that I've always thought that Trump was sort of a quasi-democratic candidate who just happened to roll the Republicans right out of their own party. And yeah, I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are on this. Thank you for watching, and I'm getting out of the house. Have a great day.